Tuesday, February 15th. Welcome all who are here. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Welcome all. Let's see. We have looking for. Do we have JP on the line?
Yeah.
And do we have Joe on the line?
Yes.
Okay. So we have Joe
Joe
DiNardo on Zoom. We have present Don Chaffee, Mary Ashcroft, and Sharon Russell. So we have a quorum. The orders are here. I think Don's already seen them, so we should be all set. There's a large payment in there to Dufresne Henry for the work they did on JP's sidewalk.
Yep.
We had the presentation last week. We'll have something in the packet to authorize me to sign to get the reimbursement for that later. So we'll deal with that when it comes up. Next, we have the approval of the select board meeting minutes for February 1st. Is there a motion?
Motion approved. Second.
Tie. So Sharon's got first, Don's got second. Any changes, additions, deletions? If not, all in favor of the minutes, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Now passing them to Sharon. I thought I heard John Paul. Okay, welcome, JP.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Do we have with us this evening any member of the public who is not already on the agenda who wishes to be heard? Yes. Why don't you come on up here so we can record what you're saying. Make sure you identify yourself.
Okay. This way or?
Right,
Sit
if you
right
have a
there.
seat, we'll
You
let you
can sit here.
down.
It doesn't matter to me.
You can sit down and be comfortable.
Well, that's nice.
Yes, we do try.
Are there sandwiches?
No, we don't do that. No.
I'm John Gorman. I'm a resident at the Windmill condominiums. And there's probably going to be a call coming into you this evening, I understand. Maybe around 6:15, in which you're going to get an update as to what is happening.
Okay. And that would be Andres Terizo,
Yes.
our consultant who will be calling in. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm actually on. I don't know. Can you all hear me? I am here.
Okay,
Hi,
very
Andres.
good.
Hey, John. So go
How
ahead.
you doing?
All right.
Okay,
So
well, this is even better.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had a view of you. Anyhow, we received a letter from Barbara Noyes Pulling as the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. And I'm now speaking on behalf of the Homeowners Association. I happen to be the president of it at this time. So the questions that were sent, or the information that was sent to us, included I think they called it a 30% plan, 30% of the project of the work they're supposed to be doing apparently being accomplished. Our board met, and we had previously met with representatives for the town at the site in order to discuss this. And we were waiting for further information to come, and it did. There then had been quite a few emails exchanged. And what I would suggest is that I can give you a copy for your records of, I have 2 copies that I can provide to you.
And
So that if you are of a mind, you can track what the information is that we were requesting and the information that was being provided to us. But what we have is a very fundamental question, and that is why it is being done. And there is a specific email letter from Andre in which he set forth 4 points. And I believe you have that in front of you. I think that would be the first page.
Okay,
And that in some way addresses it. But what we're going to do in this information process, in order to just fully understand what is being required or requested, is to have a meeting. And I guess it's going to be remote, Andres, with Barbara Noise Pulling on Thursday morning, 10 o'clock, and so that we can have a direct discussion about all of this.
okay, so you're catching us a little bit. I mean, you've got a piece of it. Can we turn and hear from Andres to give us the?
Definitely,
Okay,
definitely.
let's do that. Andres, can you give us the bigger picture? And I will note that Barbara Pulling is on the Zoom call, so we've got the players
Great.
all in one place.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you guys allowing us to speak tonight. I know you have a full agenda, so, I know our time is limited, so I'm just going to kind of give the intro. And really, we came in here at the last minute because it has been a kind of a challenging process from a permitting standpoint. We've been trying to work this out, and it's taken a while to hear back from the various regulatory agencies. So the long story short, I'm going to rewind several years to when the town of Rutland was designated as a municipal separate storm sewer community by the state of Vermont. And that was primarily because Moonbrook is designated as being stormwater impaired. And so what that did was it set this permitting process in motion to require the town to get an MS4 municipal separate storm sewer permit. And then the first part of that required the development of a flow restoration plan for Moonbrook. And Rutland City has its own flow restoration plan. The town developed its own flow restoration plan, which was a requirement of getting the MS4 permit, and turned it in on time to the state, delivered it. That was approved. And so what that flow restoration plan requires is, over the course of several years, implementation of a number of stormwater remediation projects in the Moonbrook watershed. And the bulk of those, I think, if not all of them, are deal with private land and private communities. And that's just the nature of this process. And it's the same for any other MS4 community in the state. They're all dealing with the same issue. The Windmill Pond was identified as a candidate for improvement in that flow restoration plan. It was highlighted as a project that should be constructed. I think it was 2022. Basically, the flow restoration plan did require setting a timeline, and so that was one of the projects that was kind of earlier on in the process. Another one that was done, the town has been successful basically doing one other project so far. This was kind of the next one in the queue. And so Barbara, so this project was initially identified in the flow restoration plan, but there was no design done. It was just called out as a need. But then Barbara was able to secure funding to basically design that project out. And then that project, the design work went out to bid. We bid on it. We were awarded the work to do the design and to do the permitting. And so we've been working with Barbara and the RPC for the past several months on this project. And we've gotten one extension so far because the Windmere is covered under an existing Act 250 permit. And in order to expand the basin We've been talking with Act 250 about the implications of expanding the basin, and I think we finally figured out a path forward to do that. We've met with the homeowners, we met with John and several other homeowners last summer, and we've been talking with the original developer. But understandably, this is a complicated process, and so I think we, as John was saying, we need to kind of talk through the details of this a little bit more on Thursday. But the gist is that we really do want to be able to finish our design, which is by the end of March. The grant that Barbara holds expires, and so we're hoping to have the ability to finish the design and to submit the permit application, so that if the project would get funding, we would be in a position to implement the project at some point. Just the other piece of information that I'll say quickly is that as a part of this whole MS4 process, the town did accept the stormwater permit of Windmere into the MS4. And so that was with an understanding that the town would be taking over the operation and maintenance of the Windmere Pond as it is now, and then the expanded pond when the pond is expanded in the future. So that's kind of part of this whole process is it's kind of the next step in that process, I guess, in order to get things to compliant with this flow restoration plan.
Okay. Thank you. That was a good summary. John?
It was terrific. There's one thing that you indicated, that the town had its overall permit, and that the permit that had been granted under Act 252, the Windmere developers, which is now the association. How did that originate?
So it originated because at the time there was no flow restoration plan requirement. And, there was a requirement through the state to seek an operational permit because there was a development and there was this impervious surface being created. And at the time, the pond really did meet the full standards. But, now that we're in a different place than we were when that was initially permitted. And what we've recognized is that there needs to be even more stormwater control than was required at that one point in time. And so this extra capacity in the pond is to basically provide that additional flow control, which according to the Moonbrook Flow Restoration Plan is needed in order to restore the stream, because it's currently not meeting the water quality standards. So there's nothing wrong at the time. I don't think that it was originally granted a permit, but now I think we're just in a different place. And so the rules have changed.
So Andres, what action, if any, are you asking the select board to take tonight?
Well, I think one of the things that we need to sort out in short order is how, if we were to be able to proceed with this project, who would be actually signing the permit, the Act 250 amendment that would be submitted. If there was a possibility of the town actually signing that, I think we would be waived of the application fees to do that. But that's one thing that we're trying to figure out with Act 250, if that's even possible for the municipality to sign, to sign the amendment application that would go into Act 250. I think the second thing is that I think we need to work out with I think the community members, I think, are concerned about the project. And I think we really just wanted to inform the board about what the situation is and try to help kind of address those concerns with the design. I know that some of the concerns were from a property value, concern, diminished property values. And I think, one of the issues that we heard last summer was a screening issue, specifically the lot that's right adjacent to the basin there. And so we've tried to address that with some screening, which we showed on our latest concept plan. And I think there's really the ability to do a lot of good screening on the slope. But I mean, those are to me, that's what I've been hearing in terms of what the biggest concerns are.
What's the meeting on Thursday? Who's going to be there and what's the purpose of that meeting?
So right now, I think just Barbara, John and I think the purpose of it was really just to kind of have a little more time for us to hear John's, the residents' concerns, and I guess try to work through those a little bit to see if we can come to a consensus on kind of getting the approval to move forward. Because at this point, we're not really progressing on the plan anymore, and we're not prepared to, have any applications go in until everybody's kind of on board with the plan, and we are running up against the deadline of the end of March in order to get all this work done. And, I'm not really sure what happens if it takes longer than that, since we've already addressed the grant once. Barbara, extended the grant once. Barbara, maybe you know the answer to that if we can.
Barbara's raised her hand, so.
Yeah, thank you. I wish there was a possibility for another extension. I rather doubt it, since we already had one extension for this to work through some of the Act 250 concerns, the deer wintering yard concerns. So we probably can't get an extension. The clock is winding down, and we still need to run this through DEC and some other agencies, this 30% design, before we wrap this up. So that'll be another part of the meeting on Thursday.
Okay, so it sounds like the select board doesn't do anything tonight. We just wait. We've heard a report, and we'll maybe put you on the agenda for 2 weeks from now.
I think that would make sense, definitely. Yep.
Okay, all right. And a question, and Don's got a question, so we'll go to Don.
Well, no, I have a question of Andres, because, the MS4, we've been dealing with this now for how many years?
6, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, so without getting into all of the ideological aspects of this whole thing, and I want to make it clear that I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself. This whole thing, as it relates to Windmere or any other private property, seems to me to be rewriting the rules after the fact, when permits have already been issued. As you pointed to, Andres, that it was fine when it was done, but now they find it isn't, and they're putting these requirements on. So we have to deal with what exists, and what exists is the state's power. And this has been promulgated by our state. Whoever's controlling our state is controlling the requirements that have been put on all of us, including this board, for mitigation of these stormwater issues, which may or may not be there. There's been some debate about that as well. But my question to you, Andres, is if we didn't assume the responsibility, which you've indicated that we did, we are,
right,
then the responsibility would then fall on the homeowners. Well, that's the way I understand it with Combination Pond. That's the way it was. And that's why the city took over that property. So
that's
in
right.
a sense, we as a board are between a rock and a hard spot, because we may like to respond to you with mitigation, and you're working with them to see if you can get things ironed out more to your satisfaction. But the bottom line is, by us playing by the rules that exist, if we take control of this, we're saving a lot of liability. The way the state has written the rules, we're saving a lot of liability for all of the Windmere residents, because the burden would fall on them. I guess what my thing would be, that we have to do this in as reasonable a way as possible. And that's why I look to experts like Andres, because he's been working with us for quite a while, 6 years, to be able to do this. So that's,
I understand and appreciate what you're saying. The fundamental question is what changed over this period of time that makes this issue come forward. And so as a community, we have to deal with the practicalities of what we know has happened. Just to take a quick moment, I checked with the Vermont Digger because it was an easy place to get the information. August 22nd of last year, they gave an anniversary report on Hurricane Irene. 11 inches of rain destroyed $750 million in property, damaged 200 bridges, 400 utility poles, historic buildings, 1,000 culverts, 2,400 in road segments, 3,500 homes, and 20,000 acres of farmland. And what happened at Windmere? Nothing. Nothing happened. As a matter of fact, after the hurricane, according to the then president of the association, who is about as old as I am, spoke with some town officials about it, who went to the site, and they indicated that they were absolutely amazed at how well designed, how well set up the entire system was, and that it worked. And it did what it was supposed to do. And so what we're talking is, on one side, we have that awareness, and then on the other side, we have ostensibly it's the state government saying that you're supposed to do something. And we keep coming back to the fact that it would appear, and this is related to having incorporated our permit, the Windmere permit, with the town's permit. Therefore, the question comes up as to who is supposed to be responsible, who is really involved in this, or is this a situation in which there are upland problems, in other words, to the east and towards Mendon, that are causing increased problems that the state are concerned about, going down to Moonbrook and thereafter? Or is it something else? And our concern is that we find absolutely nothing anyplace to date that indicates that Windmere is a cause of this problem. And we're not saying that there isn't a problem, because we have no way of knowing one way or the other, but we do know factually what happened. Just as a side issue.
Well, Ken, before we get on a side issue.
Okay.
We've been into this now about 25 minutes. There's some questions that have been posed. There's some philosophical discussion here. I guess my question for Andres and Barbara and John are you going to be sorting these things out and having this discussion on Thursday as best you can? Because I'm not really sure what anyone is
Yes.
asking the town right now to do.
No, I think the sole purpose of tonight, and
Okay.
I apologize for the amount of time that it takes, but we're all in the same boat, is that we want you to be aware that we are not trying to obstruct anything. We want to do what's right for the town. I mean, just like all the other residents there, we chose to live here. And
Well, I
it's
was on a
important.
couple of the site inspections up there, and I'm
Yeah.
aware of the place, and I've
Right.
walked around, so.
So I hope that Thursday is when we meet, whether, by Zoom or otherwise, that we get on a good constructive path. And we want to work. We want you to understand, we want to work with you.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you.
The representative of the developer, Rob Larson, is here. And we are working with them because we're all in the same boat. You know, we want
Do
to-
you have specific recommendations for mitigation of this particular plan that you plan to present on?
No, this is fairly, this most recent document, as you can see by the email dates on it, are new to us. And so we've gone into overdrive in order to try and address this. I've been long retired from the practice of law, but this is the stuff I used to do. And so I was a jerk to become president of the association. And so I'm not acting as a lawyer. I'm just simply here acting on behalf of neighbors and you know, friends, and seeing how we can get it addressed and resolved. And I realize the complexities of Act 250.
So it sounds like there's you folks need a little time. You've got a Thursday meeting. And it sounds like it might be a good idea to have you back in 2 weeks at our next select board meeting.
That's fine.
There's
Yeah.
heads nodding, so
That'd
why
be
don't
great.
we put you on the agenda for that meeting and we'll, are you all set? Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I think I would, Andres, this is Rob.
Yep.
Can you see me?
No, but I can hear you.
Andres, I had just a practical question, and I posed this to you on a number of occasions that I thought, if answered, would help resolve some of the HO members' concerns. And I think from a practical point of view, when you look at the remediation, you have to have water in a pond to remediate and redistribute flow so it doesn't negatively surge into stream and create the negative effects that you're looking to avoid. So my question to you, based on where the pond is, where do we expect this surface water to come from? How is it going to actually access the pond other than by way of roadway and through basements? So I just don't see where it's going to come from. How do we get more water in there?
So rather than if he can't answer it right now, that might be part of the
I wanted to maybe
discussion
hear
for
that question. It's
Thursday.
just a practical question. If
Yeah.
you look at the location of where the pond
Okay.
is, it's how's the water going to get there?
Okay.
And I think that homeowners have asked me on a number of occasions, and I posed that to you, Andre, very practical questions. Stormwater surface, so it has to get there in a surface way, or by the channels we have created to redirect water to reach there, so it could safely, in a more without a pulse load to the Moonbrook area, be distributed according to design. I think I'd like to know that answer, because where do we expect that water to actually come from?
Yeah, I mean, the water comes in exactly like it does currently in the current pond. If you were to go look, the water comes in from the north along a swale that runs along Carmel Place, and then also from the east, from the driveway culvert on the house 446 under the driveway, and it comes in, there's a stone swale. And both of those kind of come in right at that exactly the same way. So, I mean, the basin is really just elongating to the south. And so it would operate much like it would currently today. But what I could foresee is just a lot more screening on the slope. Even along the existing basin there, it could be, really screened out well with a lot of vegetation so that, the view shed there issues, I think, could be mitigated by that. But
Are you suggesting that even if as long as, are you suggesting that under the current design that the pond was installed, that the 4.6 acres of impervious land, which is the restriction of my permit, that pond is no longer capable of handling that after I have fully developed it?
It is, but as I was saying, the standards have changed so that it doesn't handle it as well as it could in terms of what's best for Moonbrook that the state has determined. The state has imposed this framework, and basically the standards at the time, the pond was good, but it wasn't as good as it can be. And so by making it bigger, we're controlling that water to an even higher standard, which ultimately, when you do that at 10 or 15 different sites around the watershed, according to the state, that's going to basically fix the problem. And so that's what we're doing. We're squeezing a little more
Well,
out.
You
it
answered
might
my
fix the
question.
problem, but you can't predict what God's gonna do.
Absolutely, absolutely not.
I've not been
Yeah, and if it's
objectioning,
not
but,
broken, I
you
mean,
Sure.
if it's working.
Okay.
Could I
let's,
interject it one more, one thing, and
let's,
just say thank you?
take up this in 2 weeks.
Sounds
The
good.
homeowners association and representative of the developer will be meeting with Andres and with Barbara. And we'll stay tuned in 2 weeks to see what happens next.
Thank
And
you
if
so
you'll
much for
excuse
coming in.
me, I'm at the same age you are and fully retired from all my activities, so I didn't catch your full name.
John Gorman, Gorman.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming in. and
I
we'll see you in a
apologize
couple of
to all
weeks.
of the others who were scheduled to be here.
No, you know what? You're just as important as
There
everybody.
you go. All right, hang on to your handouts, so we'll have them available in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And our pay.
All right.
Puts no limits whatsoever on the amount of
Anyone
hours.
else who is wishing to speak? Mr. Robichaud? Yes, why don't you go ahead? You're on.
We can't hear him.
Oh, sorry, we can't hear you for whatever reason, so check your,
You,
yeah,
Your audio.
talking, but
yeah, we can see your lips moving, we cannot hear you.
Any change now?
There you
Yes,
go.
that's good.
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Yeah, my name is Michael Robichaud. I am the owner at 1401 Post Road. This is regarding the water line extension moving up to Post Road. I had sent an email to each member of the board Saturday evening. Were you able to review that email?
We have received it. It's about a page and a half.
Yes,
That's the
ma'am.
one?
Yeah.
Okay, it is on our desk and, and I've reviewed it enough to know that you basically want the town to take care of the cost of extending the water line to, and the hookup charges for your house.
Barry, I'm going to move that it goes to Water and Sewer Committee.
Okay, motions made to send this matter to Water and Sewer. Is there our Committee on Water and Sewer? Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, motion seconded. This is in line, Mr. Robichaud, with what we have done with other folks who have raised similar issues about this. We're going to send this, if the select board agrees, we're going to send this matter to the Water and Sewer Committee. They'll set up a meeting, they'll invite you in, and then there will be a discussion about what the town is able to do or not do with your request. So let me add, motion's been made and seconded to send it to Water and Sewer Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so that's what will happen. And I'm going to ask Bill Sweet, our town administrative assistant to the select board, to let you know when that meeting is set up and to invite you in person or Zoom, however the committee might be meeting. Okay. So
Okay,
thank
very
you
good.
for writing.
Thank
We
you.
do. Okay. And hang on to this because we may see it again. I think most of us are on the Water Sewer Committee, so
Right.
you're going to be seeing us again too. Okay.
And Mike, thanks for detailing so extensively. It'll help us when we meet.
Yes.
Very
it
good.
will.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has an issue that wishes to address the select board before, who is not otherwise on the agenda? I'm looking at our screen and I'm not seeing any hands raised or looking at our audience. Fred's hiding behind a clipboard. I think we're all set. So thank you. Let's start down our list. Walter, Tripp, and Jason Bathalon, Town Highway Crew. Come on up. Good evening. Saw you the
Evening.
other day, headed down Creek Road.
Hopefully our snow and rain has slowed down.
Well,
We're,
we're not going to hold you responsible for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but a nice pause would be nice. Other than, our regular winter stuff, we started today on our paving program, trying to figure out what we are going to do. And we had a meeting last week with Joe and Sharon and town resident that's willing to help with this. And other than that, next couple of days we'll be making sure our catch basins are open for an inch of rain.
Yes.
So
I saw that.
that's,
So I will note that the Highway Committee met on February 9th. That's last week, Wednesday. There were a number of items in there. And is there a member of the Highway Committee who would like to, and I think there's possibly some action that the select board is going to be asked to take. Joe?
Yep, I'm here, Mary. I don't know about if we have to take any action just yet, but we did go over a number of things. As Walt just said, we have a plan in place working on paving for this year. One of the big things that we did talk with, I had Kari come in and she gave us some figures on the carryover from the last budget. And so we got some things squared away here. There was, according to our audit, $627,092, and 314 of that thousand was applied toward the paving because we had not paved that previous year. So we've got that squared away. It leaves us approximately $312,000 in the highway account to help buffer some of the costs for that culvert on Town Line Road, along with the additional paving. We went over the paving grant and our matching amount, and we went over the culvert grant and our matching amount. So we stand to be in pretty good shape for that. One of the things that I did tell our highway crew was that the world won't come to an end if we don't do exactly as we've done in the past with paving. We'll do a good job. We'll get what needs to be done and move forward. So that we're not under any kind of stress here to, try to keep things, as were. So we're okay there. We've got some pretty good ideas in place. The other issue that did come up that's of concern is the boiler at the highway garage up there. It seems to be having some problems. Walt replaced a pump on it. I do believe it's working better, but in our on your desk, I believe Bill has put out an RFP for looking into resolution of that, maybe getting a contractor to come up, look at it, hire somebody, and come up with a couple of options, maybe abandoning the waste oil. Right now, waste oil is a little bit difficult to come by. I don't believe we have any. So we're back to burning fuel oil. And Walt will correct me if I'm wrong there. But I think we just need to explore some options and make sure we get a reliable heating system in that place that does not require our current crew or any future crew to have to go up there on weekends and holidays and every time it's cold to make sure the heat's on. So those are some things those are the two major things that came out of our discussions last week, and we'll figure out what we're going to do. But I believe we've got some of the things. I mean, these guys have been running that boiler since it was done, and they got a good heads up on what to do and how to keep it running. And I appreciate all the extra time they have to put in to keep that place from freezing up. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. So on your desk is a one-pager draft of an RFP for replacing the heating system. Two bid options would be requested. One is to replace the existing waste oil furnace with a new waste oil furnace, and the other would be to replace the existing waste oil furnace with a traditional oil furnace. So Highway Committee is recommending this, and we should put an RFP out?
Yeah.
Motion's made by
Well, I-
Sharon.
Joe.
Second, no,
So why- We haven't had good luck with waste oil. Why aren't we just putting out a bid for regular oil?
Yeah,
Well,
I agree
JP,
with you, John. Talked with an engineer in that field, and it's really that is the way those things work. And with all the filters you have to change continuously, unless you filter the oil before it even goes into the thing, it's just a no-brainer. I think we have to look at another source.
So this would
So,
be,
but-
was there a second, by the way?
So,
You
If
first.
there wasn't, I thought I seconded it.
Okay, thank you, JP.
I'm glad you
So-
seconded it.
We're back in discussion.
Yeah, that too.
So one comment I would make is that there are different levels of quality when you get a waste oil system. They do require some additional work, and whether or not the savings in using waste oil is there, will be, that's up to the board to decide whether the benefit is worth the aggravation, would be my say. I mean, personally, I don't care which way we go. Most every other building in town that houses important equipment, fire stations, Center Rutland is heated with gas, McKinley's fuel oil, the town office is fuel oil. So I don't think the committee has a preference one way or another. We just wanted to put those out there and kind of get the thoughts on the board as to how we wanted to go moving forward. Right now, Johnson Energy, where we buy our fuel, gives us a pretty good price. And I think that with a little bit of work, we could figure out roughly what that would cost us per year to heat that building. So, like I say, this has just come out of the committee, what we had thought we wanted to ask and how we wanted to go forward. We have no preference one way or the other.
Okay,
But Joe, did I understand you correctly that we're unable to get waste oil now?
It seems like, and Walt can answer this better. I'm under the impression we're don't have any, that it's, I think what's happened is that more and more garages, small garages and even some private garages that maybe we were getting oil from have gone to using it, and there's more demand for it. I think Walt would be able to speak to that better. And that is the downside to the waste oil, JP, is coming up with a supply. And if we have to switch back and forth, we might be better off just going with number 2 heating oil and let it go at that.
Yeah,
So
and I think the other thing you might want to think about is that if our highway committee or our highway fellows are spending time repairing that because of the waste oil and having to replace those filters, that isn't the purpose of their job. The purpose of their job is the highway, not maintaining a furnace. I mean, and the bottom of that furnace has been burning out. I don't know if I don't think Joe mentioned that, but so I just
could I
think
make
we really ought to consider another
JP?
Could I
source.
make
Go ahead.
Could I make a motion that we just put out a regular a bid for a commercial oil burner, regular oil burner, and we get away from this other technology that seems more expensive and really we don't even get the fuel we need to run it?
That's fine. We could go either way. The other thing that is of some concern is with the boiler is whether or not how that's set up as far as having how they work as far as a hot water reservoir amount. It sounds like every time the building calls for heat that there isn't a reserve of water, so that has to come on. So I think, we need to make sure we have the right system for that type of radiant heat building.
Okay, so JP moved, it sounds like a friendly amendment, which if Sharon and Joe accept that, it's just to get a bid or an RFP for just the traditional oil furnace. Sharon and Joe, do you agree?
Yes.
That's fine. Like I said, we wanted to just hear, to put this out there and go with what we think is the best thought.
Okay. So we'll be doing, if you vote favorably, we'll be doing an RFP just for a traditional oil furnace for the highway garage.
Sounds good.
Is there any further discussion on that? Okay, if not, all in favor of the RFP, please say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. So we'll see what kinds of proposals we get. Thank you, Highway Committee. Anything else from our highway crew or questions
I
from the
just-
select board? Yeah,
Mary, I just wanted to ask Walt just where they are with the fuel for it and if we need to get fuel for the building.
We'll have to probably within the next couple weeks, have to get some fuel.
okay. And we
We're,
do have a contract with Johnson Fuel,
Yes, Johnson Energy.
Johnson Energy. Okay.
that's
so-
who we'll get a hold
All
of.
right, very good. Any other comments from our road crew? How's water and sewer?
Good.
Okay,
Nothing breaking yet.
excellent. Good news.
This is the time of year when it happens.
Oh, I know. I know. Okay, if there's nothing else, then thank you very much.
Okay,
Appreciate
you.
your work.
Thanks.
Good luck with the
Thank you, Walt.
rain.
Thanks, Jason.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Kari Clark, Town Clerk and Treasurer.
Evening.
Good evening.
Lots of stuff tonight. On your desks, I put a copy of our most recent local option tax
Oh, yeah.
amount
Looking
given
good.
to us.
Yeah.
We are doing fantastic. If you can see there, we're actually up almost 20 grand from what we proposed that we would get, and we still have one more payment to go.
Right. So that's very, very good news.
Very good
Yeah.
news. So I thought I would give you some good news.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Let's see. You have 2 liquor licenses that I put on your desk
Okay.
for approval. You don't have to do that right now. Just wanted to
All right.
point those out. Let's see. I wanted to remind everyone, we haven't really seen a whole lot of people either call or send in or request their renewal for their dogs.
Oh,
I just
okay.
wanted to remind
Thank you.
everybody that April 1st does come kind of quickly. You can do that anytime. Just give us a call and we'll let you know how to do that or come on in.
Okay.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Oh, elections. That's right around the corner. In about 2 weeks, we'll have our town meeting. We've sent out a couple batches of absentee ballots so far. So if you are listening to this and want to request an absentee ballot, so that you don't have to come out to the polls, you can give us a call and we'll take care of that for you. You can also request that for August. November would be our 3rd election, and that's actually going to go directly to you, much like the last November.
The state
election.
mails that? Yes, okay.
Correct.
But that's November. That's not for August and that's not for town meeting.
That's right. When the circle comes out, I did outline that in the article for anyone that's reading that. So I just wanted to give that a reminder. And then I've had a couple BCA meetings within the last week or so. We've talked about the elections, certainly, and that will run as it has in the past, COVID precautions, obviously, but we will be in person and poll workers will be there. Police presence will certainly be there. but we also talked about the reapportionment issue that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to take time right now to talk about it, but there were some updates that I'm sure that we'll go over soon about that. That was another thing I wanted to discuss. And let's see. And then Mary and I had talked about, it's about that time, it's a good time to get back in the habit of, for me to report out the department's, budgets and how they're looking. I do want to say that while I'll certainly do that, that's no problem at all. Our department heads do a wonderful job at keeping track of each line, and they're very, very careful and obviously cautious about what they spend. So although I'll report it out, there's usually not anything to look at that's scary. I did look it over for this meeting and everything seems to be fine. Nothing surprisingly, nothing out of the ordinary that anyone doesn't know about,
Okay.
basically. And then I had a lot of phone calls from few people about the town report. And yes, it was mailed out and it should be at your house very soon, if not today.
Okay.
So the warning for the meeting is in there. Election ballots are posted. Everything's ready to go.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'll do a really brief summary of the Board of Civil Authority and the discussion and some of the actions we took concerning reapportionment. Basically, there is, and Don was very helpful about this too, because Don drafted a letter to the House Government Operations Committee, which we all signed and we sent in this morning. And basically it said, we want to keep Rutland Town as a single member district. We understand there might have to be, tweaks of some, little piece of Rutland Town going into a city district. And I think over here is one in the west side of town and the north side of town. And then the possibility of a chunk of Mendon coming into our legislative district. But we did make it clear we wanted Rutland Town to have its own representative. We learned we were, chugging along very well. And then we learned over the weekend that the Government Operations Committee had come up with yet another alternative. And that would have divided Rutland Town in two, put the northern half of town with a city district, and put the southern and western part of town with West Rutland. So we would no longer have a Rutland Town legislative district. We would be split between two municipalities. So we made it clear. The Board of Civil Authority authorized Dick Bailey and myself to testify, which we did this afternoon. And we made it clear we didn't like that proposal. We wanted Rutland Town to stay together in a single legislative district. We understood that tweaking might have to happen, but we didn't want to be divided. So that's where we are. And we met the deadline of February 15th, and there was a lot of scrambling, and Don was drafting and redrafting. So it was an excellent teamwork all around to make Montpelier understand where we were. And I will say, Rutland City was very much in agreement with, they need to do some work internally in the city but they didn't oppose what we were saying. And we were all pretty much giving the committee the same recommendation this afternoon. So stay tuned. I don't know how that's going to turn out, but it is a moving target. So keep an eye on the legislature.
Mary, I was on that call too to listen in, and I found it very interesting, but wanted to say that you and Dick Bailey did a fantastic job at advocating for us. So thank you on the behalf of the BCA. And Don, your letter was fantastic. So
Spot on, as we say, Don.
So we all worked together and got that done. So it felt really good.
Okay, thank you very much.
I pretty much just reiterated information that you all had provided to me. So thank you. Hopefully there weren't any grammatical errors, or JP would have corrected me.
Okay. Any questions or further comments for our town clerk and treasurer? I think our one BCA meeting, we set all of our ballot clerks, we're all set to go. So we're gonna have an election.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Bells on.
all right,
Okay,
yes.
are we done? Are you done, Kari?
I am.
Okay, I didn't know if you wanted to go into executive session on an issue.
Absolutely. We can. Yes, I do want to request an executive session at the end of the.
At the end of the meeting?
End of the meeting.
Okay, so what?
Thank you, Sharon. I forgot. about
Okay.
that. I was trying to get all the good
Scribble a
stuff.
note for that. Thank you very much. All right. It looks like we have a question. Kirsten Hathaway, your hand's up.
Hi, my question actually was for the highway crew, but I guess it works having Kari up here because it is about the budgets. Joe had made a comment that the proposed carryover balance is only 300,000, but the budgets that are listed for the town meeting are 600,000. And so I'm very confused as to how the general budget for the highway has been calculated. And I was just curious if somebody could walk me through how that happened.
Well, I can speak up to that. As it was said before, the carryover was 600,000 and paving was included in that amount, and they used it in this fiscal year.
Okay.
Right. So that means that money's not available for next fiscal year, though.
Yes, it is. There's 300,000. The carryover from the highway budget is never figured into the new budget. It's always there. It isn't taken away from what we're asking for or what is coming into the town by taxes. The carryover is an amount to be used in excess of what we've done. That's the way it always is. It's never reflected in the current new budget that's requested to be passed in March.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Joe. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Kari.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Next up, Barbara Noyes Pulling, Town Planning Commission Chair. Hey, Barbara.
Hello. Thank you. The first thing I want to bring up is a subcommittee of the Planning Commission, the Town Planning Commission, came up with a survey for residents on energy-related matters. I think that was included in your packet. It's a 22 questions survey that will just go out to homeowners is our recommendation. And it covers a number of areas related to energy, and it could allow for people to put notes in and they could respond to any or all of these questions. We could do it online. We could go through the Regional Planning Commission's service. It's called Survey Monkey. So we could, simplify things that way. So we're just looking for direction now on how you'd like us to proceed. And
So
if you
I'm,
had any
Bill, unless
suggestions-
I'm missing something, I'm not seeing it in the packet.
Yeah, it's E
E, okay.
at the end.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you. So what's your pleasure? These are the,
I
I
had some
think
questions first.
JP had requested to see the energy survey, and he's chair of our energy committee. So any questions or comments, JP, and then Don?
Oh, I think Don wanted to speak.
Okay.
Oh, I just, I wanted to know what was the impetus for this. You said it was a subcommittee that brought it up?
Yeah, the impetus, Don, is that in our municipal plan, our town plan, we have an energy section, and at the end of that section, there are 4 pages of recommendations or actions for the town. So this is in our adopted town plan. So to bring those 4 pages to some order and to get something off the ground for those, we thought we would have the town prioritize the list. So we took those 4 pages and came up with a list of questions that could fit into a survey that would give us some direction on what residents think, where they think we should start. Whether it's, home weatherization or, going electric or whatever. So we're hoping to get some direction from the town on that.
I think probably that the direction would come from the board. And the reason I say that is that it's been my experience, at least in this town. I don't know if it works in other towns better than that. You would know, Barbara, from the regional commission's point of view. But I would think that if we did decide to do this, that the response that we get would hardly represent any majority view to give this board a direction on how to go. I just think it's premature, and I really, I read it over, and I haven't heard any clamoring, at least from my section of the town and the people that I talked to over these issues. And as I looked at them, many of them are adequately covered, I think, by Bennington Rutland Opportunity Council by request. And they do a lot of marketing, and I just don't know whether we should be doing any more marketing for them, because we do have an item on the in our budgets at the end of in our on our election sheet. We've always supported Brock, and I would assume that we would continue to support Brock in those efforts. So I guess if you're looking for action, because we've had a lot of stuff on the plate here tonight, that I would say that we would refer this to the Energy Committee. I'd like to make a motion that we refer it to the Energy Committee.
Yeah, I'll second.
And then they'll get back to us, and we'll get back to you.
All right, motion's been made by Don, seconded by Sharon, to send the draft energy survey to the Energy Committee of the Select Board. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 And motion carries. So we'll refer that. So Bill, if you could add that to the list of things that our committee is dealing with. Thank you very much. Our committees are dealing with, I should say. All right, Barbara, what else do you have for us?
Okay. And just a reminder that the public meeting for the Pocket Park and ideas for that public meeting will be March 3rd at 6 p.m. It's all remote right now. So the publicity is pushing that out to get the word out. And if there are any areas where you haven't seen word about this, let me know and I'll get those out. And we got some great historical photos through the Rutland Historical Society. So we can use those for any publicity, any type. So just let me know if you see any gaps that I missed.
That's a beautiful display out in the hallway, Barbara. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm a big fan of awesome graphics.
Ah, well, and the blue flyers are excellent too. So make sure you pick one up, and we want everyone to participate. So thank you.
Great.
All right, any questions of Barbara for our planning commission? If not, thank you very much, Barbara.
Okay.
All right, next, Chris Clark, Town Fire Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Chris.
Not much to report as usual. 4 calls in the last 2 weeks. No new updates on the truck. However, we have been told that the middle to end of March, we should be sending a couple of our truck committee members out to Minnesota to inspect the truck. So high hopes there that the truck will be near completion by then.
Okay, good news. Thank you. Any questions from the select board of our town fire chief?
No questions, but I got a recommendation, Chris.
What's that?
That wonderful program that you starred in on the fire station and police facility is up on the town website. And as you might have seen, our town clerk has on her own personal site, she has shared that. And I wish that you would make it a priority for all of your members in the department to do the same on their own personal sites and ask their friends and neighbors and relatives to do the same. Because the most exposure that we can get for that particular program, especially the financial aspects of it, which have been questioned in local media, and the answers have been given. So we need to get that word out to as many people as possible. So if you could do that, I'd appreciate it.
I can do that, Don. I'll spread the word.
Thanks, Chris.
All
Thank
right.
you.
If there's nothing else, any other select board questions or comments for our fire chief? Nope. Okay, thank you, Chief Clark. Appreciate it. Ed Dumas, Town Police Chief.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The usual calls for service. I think we're 38 of them. A little lower this time. We had some officers take some time off, including myself. So that's the reflection there.
Okay. You had mentioned something that may affect our numbers down the south end of town.
So I saw it was forwarded to me that the city closed down one of the local hotels, I think on North Main Street, I believe it was. So I don't know for sure, but probably we will get more guests at the Cortina Inn that we hopefully won't affect us too much, but
How many are you expecting, Ed?
I have no idea. Right now, the numbers are up over 150. So
Oh, boy.
they do have some, the state did supply some help down there. So things are compared to last year at this time, it's night and day. So I'm
Okay.
impressed, cautiously impressed at this point in time.
So some of the services are being supplied down there that we
Yes.
had asked for. Good. Excellent.
Karim, I don't know what the name of his company is, but he's overseeing it. He's doing a good job as far as I can tell at this point.
Good to know.
We did have another meeting today, this morning, in reference to the regional dispatch. We've been looking for a date of when VSP is gonna no longer dispatch for local towns and fire departments. And I was told July 1st, 2024, they want to be out of the dispatching business.
For
City, for the fire, for police.
no,
and
2024, did you?
2024, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's only 2 years away. We're trying to, right now we're working with Sheriff Fox, who's at least, he's already got a grant he's written, and they're gonna do some more work on it and try to get some money from this money, or some money for consoles or whatever we can get at this point in time, even if we have to put them on cold storage for a while as we move forward in this. I will send a letter probably to you, Mary, and Sharon, the police committee referenced. I think one of the first steps, you have to get an MOU with the other departments or other towns. Not sure where I think people want to put it in their budget. Something that's going to be figured out probably before next March,
Right.
not this March, but next March, so we can start moving forward on this.
You're continuing to work with your fire and police
Yes.
chiefs group on this?
Chris Clark, Larry Delvaneri, and I'm not sure, there's a bunch of other firemen on there. There's 40 agencies in Rutland County right now that use regional dispatch. So
Okay. Is there growing interest in all of this and pulling the towns together
Yes,
for
I mean,
countywide?
they've been talking about this for, like, my understanding, almost 40 years, but at this point in time, Rutland County, we are probably the least prepared for this at this point in time. We had free dispatch and we didn't want to deal with it, but now we're being forced to. I know the state doesn't want to add any more taxes to their budgets. That doesn't mean they're going to take any less money from the people. So we will have to do something on our own. Like anything else the state does, they make it mandatory, and we have to figure it out, I guess, at this point in time. So we're doing the best we can with what we got. And there's a lot of smart people there, smarter than me, that's for sure.
Well, thank you folks for spearheading this. You know, that's,
And do you have any financial figures on how much money is being put into this hotel down in the south end?
My last recollection, it was like between $80 and $90. I don't know if it's per person or room. So they're running over almost 90 rooms right now. That was prior to any other place closing. So
Yeah, they've been kicking a few of them out because they've showed up at the mission.
yeah, I mean, so if there's a problem down there, they have been saying you can't be here anymore.
Right. No, I understand.
So that equates to how much? They got 90, you say, 90 people? 100?
Yeah, 90. Last year I figured out this. I mean, probably pretty close to $500,000 this year they've received from the state housing the homeless. And the state's been pretty honest with us and said, look, there is no other place to keep them. Rutland, the Cortina is holding the most people in the state of Vermont,
Yeah.
homeless people, and they're taking them from all over the state.
Yep.
So,
well, as long as they're now providing the services and the impact
yes.
down there on our police department is eased,
yes,
that's the direction we wanted to go in.
correct.
So we'll see what happens with the closing of the motel in the city.
Yes.
Yeah. We should get a big thank you, Rutland Town, somewhere.
Yeah, well.
Hope
Any
springs
other
eternal.
questions of our chief of police? All right, if not, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ed.
Mike Rowe, Town Recreation Director.
Good evening, all.
Hey.
I don't have much. Basketball wraps up this week for our program. We are running our camp next week for our K-1-2. Pretty good sign up for that. Spring is close. So Bill, thanks for getting the baseball registration online so people can now start signing up. That's just less than a couple months away. We had a baseball meeting with the local directors last week. And so we're starting to move forward and planning for an exciting spring once it gets here fairly quickly. Our Act 250 at the park with Mary Beth and Andy is chugging along, and we hope to have more info for you in a couple of weeks. Just trying to think. Other than that, the skating rink is open. People can go skate. There's a light on at night. You can go up there at night. I would just ask that you check the ice before you jump on, especially with our warm weather that's coming up. Just feel free to enjoy it. There's shovels there if you want to shovel a little bit off, but it's up and running and people have been enjoying it. So I'll continue to do so. Other than that, I don't really have anything else. Unless people have some questions for me.
Select board questions of our rec director, Mike Rowe.
No, Mike, I have to say, I sing your praises, even though you don't think so, but I think the people out there need to know that Northwood Park is not just a park for Rutland Town Select Board, or the Mike Rowe takes it personally. It is his legacy. It is, I've been involved in recreation in the town of Rutland for the better part of 35, 40 years. And I am so impressed and so happy to see what's happening up there. So to you, even though you don't like to be spoke to about it, you've done a good job. I think Don can attest to that too. I mean, you spent a lot of years in recreation, so, it is appreciated.
Thanks. Well, it's people like our volunteers are great and the park has grown. Like Mary Beth and Andy have been instrumental, as so has so many people. Jason has been paid handsomely for doing a lot of work up there too. And there are a lot of people, Billy, I mean, everyone helps
But
to
nobody,
make the
but
park.
nobody, Mike, what you don't understand is volunteers aren't willing to work with somebody that doesn't work with them.
Oh, that's true.
And I think Mary Beth and the rest of you can attest to the fact that recreation is near and dear to you, and the need for volunteers is
Always.
there, and it is well appreciated.
Always looking for volunteers. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
And to compound on what Sharon said, you know, when you're involved, as Sharon and I have been involved in the creation of something as beautiful and as nice as that for everyone, not just for Rutland Town, the one fear that you have is that it isn't going to be maintained, that it's going to be let go, that there's going to be issues, that it's not going to be considered as beautiful as we considered it. So when we find that it is, it just makes us smile. That's all.
Well, thanks. That's what it's there for. It's there for everybody. So,
Thanks, Mike.
all righty. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. JP or Joe, any questions of Mike Rowe? He's headed out, so you better speak up quickly.
All good. Thanks.
Okay. Bill Sweet, Town Administrative Assistant.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
No,
We normally have gone through a lot more of this than we have by now. Left in the packet, they're all new business items. So when you're ready to get to those, it's all there for that.
Okay.
I did get from Rutland City the usage statistics for last year for all the sewer users. So I'm going through and matching that up with our allocations. Looks like we have 4 that are over for last year. So I'll work on
Okay.
letters for the next meeting. We never did hear back from Juster Associates. Remember, we were asking them to provide an allocation. They never did. So we'll follow up with them again on that and
Please.
see what we can do. I was thinking about the highway with the change to the RFP, which is fine. I'll rewrite that. That's no problem. If we go to one that is heating oil only, we didn't budget anything for that budget year to account for having to buy heating oil.
Okay.
So just
Okay.
throwing it out there.
Yep. Appreciate that.
There are 2 other RFPs that you had that came out of the Building and Technology Committee meeting. One is for redoing our cleaning services for the office, just updating it. There's some things that we needed to be added to it, and to kind of set a level with whoever it is. We talked about offering it to our existing company first, and then going out from there to see what they wanted to do. So there's some things on here they don't typically do, so to give them the opportunity to have a new agreement with us.
Okay, so let's take that one first. Request for cleaning services RFP. I'll take a motion to.
yeah, I'll make a motion that we send this out.
Okay, motion's made
Second.
and seconded to send out an RFP for cleaning services for Town Hall. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay.
Okay.
Next.
And then the other one is for a variety of work projects for an electrician to do around here. We had talked about doing this and possibly using some of the funds that were originally going to go to an architect for downstairs to go toward doing some projects and getting them wrapped up this year rather than putting them off any longer.
All right, and the Building and Electronics, is it Building and
Technology.
Technology Committee had a chance to go over this?
we talked about the projects.
Yep.
So the RFP came from the discussion of the projects.
Okay.
And I would recommend that we put that RFP out.
Motion's been made to put out the RFP for those various electrical requirements for town hall.
Second,
Is there a second?
second.
Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of putting out the RFP as printed, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So you can put that RFP out. Thank you.
When I redo the one for the highway garage, do you want me to bring it back before sending it out for the next meeting?
I think we approved it with that one amendment. So
Just taking out the option for
Yeah,
a new
just-
waste oil burner.
yes,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay, so we're good to
Yep.
send that out and see what's out there.
Okay. That's everything that I have for this
Okay,
meeting.
well,
I have,
we've got a few things.
Madam Chair.
Sure, go ahead, Don.
Since Bill's up there and he's going, and he's done the RFPs, the building committee also discussed accepting the bid from Vermont Seal Coat, I believe. So
Oh,
and we would
Yes.
recommend that to the full board.
What is that? I didn't hear you, Doug.
Vermont Seal Coat to do the parking lot in our
Yes.
areas here. That was the best bid. It was a really good
Yep.
bid.
so is that a motion?
I'll make it as a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion is made by Don, seconded by Sharon to accept the bid for Vermont Seal Coat for work on our parking lot out here. And I'm not finding it.
It's in the technology minutes.
Oh,
They're-
okay.
I didn't include the bid with this.
Okay, very good.
Let her be, Mary. And I just want to speak to this. The price that you look at here is more than the other one, but we're getting more. The other bid, everything was added on. This includes, I do believe, the line striping, 2 coats of sealer, and they would be doing the crack sealing. So it's more work for the additional money.
Okay. Sounds like the building committee is recommending it.
Yes.
All right. Any further discussion?
It was also very timely, right, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
If you're ready, all of those in favor of the seal coat work, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, thank you.
There was a couple of things, Don, in here. Did you have any other notes for the?
No, I was gonna,
Okay.
basically, I was gonna let you do the report for the committee.
Okay.
Well, the only other thing really that we discussed in length was coordinating the monument project with the electronic signboard that had been proposed prior. We'd had discussions of that before. And it seemingly was held up because of one project versus the other. But then we came to the conclusion that that tree in any case would have to be taken down because it's getting huge anyway and it's in the way, that one big blue spruce that's out there. So if we remove that tree, the committee decided that that would be the best place for the signboard and that all of that work could take place without affecting the monument. Because the monument would be centered and basically would probably be in a semicircular or an arc type, much like West Rutland's, and wouldn't extend far enough so that that signboard couldn't be put where the tree is. So, I don't know we didn't make any recommendations of the board, but we discussed that and
I gotta say that I'm not a big fan of electronic signboards, especially in front of historic buildings such as this. So just know that.
The tree is scheduled to be taken down, isn't it, Bill, or we're working on it?
Yeah, that hadn't been, we didn't really got anywhere with that yet. So
Is there,
there's
what
theoretical.
was our,
The town tree warden wouldn't be in favor of taking that tree down to put a signboard up.
and you would be our town tree warden, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would be.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Why?
I have a lot more feeling for trees than I do for signboards.
Okay. So there's no pending motion on the issue, but we've received some guidance now, so thank you.
Maybe.
Well, you've received the guidance, whether you know.
We're still a little ways away from
Okay.
any of that happening.
I don't like signboards either.
Oh,
We had-
there's always lightning.
Yeah, that's right. There was the topic, Don, if you said the committee wanted to talk about that, was about the cell phone plans. It's number 4
No, yeah.
on the minutes.
Yeah, we discussed the phone plans and whether we should proceed with phones as opposed to a stipend in place of providing phones. Phones have been provided to just the chief officers, right? Chiefs and deputies.
We have cell phone plans that we fund through budgets for the police department, for all the police department, the highway department, and the rec department.
The plan.
And our plan was, what we talked about, Don, was whether or not we wanted to authorize reimbursing the chief and 2 assistant chiefs part of their own personal phones versus having them have to give those up and have new numbers because everybody already knows those numbers. So our thought was that, we might propose coming up with a plan going forward to reimburse those 3 officers for their use of their cell phones.
Right. And I believe I added into that discussion that I thought it would be appropriate as well to do the same for the select board members. Since there are many communicative activities that we participate in through cell phone. And that's our means of communication.
So I don't see a specific proposal. So is this a
Well,
work in progress?
what was the amount that we bannered around, Joe?
We talked $30 per month for the fire department officers, and I guess if we wanted to do that, we talked a little bit about the select board, and then I feel uncomfortable asking the rest of the board to give me money for my phone, so I didn't pursue it too much further.
Okay, well,
but it's probably a good idea. Maybe a good idea.
It's always.
Well,
it always takes a little bit of bravado to propose something that's coming to you, but I'm not doing it specifically because I want to get $30. It's just that if
let's split it in half.
No.
Let's propose it for the fire chief and assistant chiefs first.
Both assistant chiefs, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to add the select board members into that,
Well,
all at the same time. I mean,
I see no need to do it, but
Pardon me?
I see no need to do it for the select board. I do see a need for the fire department.
yeah.
John, I don't feel comfortable for the select board, but that's
Well,
just me. I have a hard time taking things up.
I make suggestions, the board makes decisions. That's
Yeah.
all.
Well, is there a motion? Let's start it that way. Give me a motion.
Joe,
I'll
why
move,
don't you
Mary,
go-
that we approve the $30 per month reimbursement to the fire chief and 2 assistant chiefs for the use of their cell phones on behalf of the town.
Okay, motion's made. Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
The only thing we didn't provide in our budgets that are coming up to be voted on is doing this, paying for this, but I think there is some money in the fire department budget that, correct, do you remember, Billy, which item that was that we talked about?
Actually, the telephone line
Communications, wasn't it?
actually should have enough
Telephone, okay.
flexibility in that. to
I
cover it,
think I think there was enough in there. We figured that would cover it, pending any unexpected expenses. So that's where that money would come from. And We didn't ask Chris about this. We're just doing it.
Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion? This is $30 per month for the fire chief and the 2 assistant chiefs. The phone to cover their phone expense.
And
All in
one quick, Mary, one quick point was, this would be paid in one check for the 12-month period. That's where, or we would do it in, depending on how the officer elections go, we might have to do it in a 6-month increment. So July through December, and then December through June, because the officers could possibly change. So it'll probably done that way. So it's, it follows the officer elections.
Okay, so I'm
Joe?
not going to put that as part of the motion, if that's okay. We'll
Yeah.
just approve the payment, and then how it gets paid out is,
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Joe-
so everybody understand how it works.
okay.
Joe, if you don't mind, I don't mean to ambush you on this really, but I'd like, in order to make it relevant to my suggestion, which I didn't make as an amendment, what is the need to have the chief and the 2 deputies have their phone services paid as opposed to the non-need for select board members? I just want to know.
I don't know if we have a need or not, Don. Like I said, it's to me a little, my only thoughts are a little bit like Sharon. It's a little self-serving to do that. I was thinking of them and I wasn't thinking of us. If the rest of the board and the 5 of us can make the decision whether we're going to reimburse the board for the same purpose, but that's a board discussion. I can't, I don't, I'll go with whatever the board. Yeah, let's vote on the one project and then we'll talk about the other.
So what you're saying, Joe,
Pending
basically,
motion,
well,
just to be clear, is for the fire chief and 2 assistant chiefs at this point to have $30 per month reimbursement. Chief Dumas.
So someone who uses the cell phone all the time in our current dispatching that we have with the firemen, it's important for them to be able to reach out, make their own calls, maybe to the Green Mountain Power or some other agency, because their dispatch centers in Westminster are busy. They're telling us now. So if your chiefs and deputy chiefs have phones, they're going to use their phones to make those calls to make or let people know at situations like that. That's what we do all the time. Anything we can do with a computer or on a telephone, we're doing it ourselves and not burdening the dispatch at this point in time.
well, I don't have any objection to any perk that we could give our firemen because they certainly deserve it. And, and it's a bargain for us, for the
I just don't
firemen.
answer the question, why?
No, I just wanted to, put it in perspective. If it's a perk, then fine. I'll approve it as a perk.
All right, so the motion is the $30 per month reimbursement for phone service for the chief, fire chief and assistant chiefs. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Okay,
So
motion carried.
I'd like to make a motion out of concern for my fellow select board members that we also authorize the payment of $30 a month for the select board for use of their phones.
Motion's made. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion.
I think we beat it to death already, Mary.
Well, this is the other motion. So the motion is for
Yeah,
a $30 stipend for the select board members. All
Yeah.
in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Joe, are you in favor?
I said aye, yep.
Okay. Opposed? I'll vote no. Well, the motion carries. And a heavy sigh to my left here. All right. We have is there anything else from the Fred?
Just one question. Is this compensation a taxable?
I will defer that to tax experts, none of which are here in the room. How's that?
I would say it would be, Fred, it's compensation or it's,
I will leave individual select board members to consult with their tax folks on that. I don't know myself and I don't do tax law, so can't help you there. Okay, anything else from the Building and Technology Committee meeting that we should be considering?
I think that covered everything.
Okay,
That's
now,
everything.
we do have a number of
Somebody's saying something.
other things.
With Joe. Go ahead.
Was that Joey?
Yeah.
Okay, so Bill, what else?
That's everything I have.
All right, let's go through the packet. Let's see, under new business, for to introduce amendments to the Vehicle and Traffic Ordinance. That's A in the packet. This is the Highway Committee ordinance. I think we did some reviewing, or the Highway Committee did. And I think there's a very bold, darkened letters. It looks like the major change is to add the word paved, referring to parking prohibited on traveled or paved portion of the road. Okay, anyone on the Highway Committee who wishes to speak to this? I think we talked some about it last meeting.
Mary, that didn't come before highway.
No, it didn't.
Police.
Oh, it's
I think
police.
this is
Oh,
the
sorry
police.
about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew I heard
Yeah.
it somewhere, so. Okay,
I'd move to approve the changes.
okay, Joe
Second.
moves to approve, seconded by Sharon. Any discussion? All in favor of the changes to the Vehicles and Traffic Ordinance, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries, and I think there's a process that we have to go through. to-
Yes. So we've started the process for the driving while operating a handheld device.
Right.
And I've already answered the question from somebody that says, does this mean I get to drive? I said, no, it does not. So this is it's the same process, just an amendment process. So it's just timelines and
Yeah.
keeping track of it. So
Okay, so
we'll start that one.
start on the process. Okay. So that takes care of A. Next, under new business, this was also a matter that came from the Police Committee, and that's to discuss the repeal of the Child Safety Ordinance. In short, and I actually did do some research on this, so let me share with it. Back in 2009, the town adopted an ordinance which several other municipalities around the state, very similar to what other municipalities around the state adopted, and that is to prohibit registered sex offenders, convicted sex offenders, from living in certain places that were within 1,000 feet of schools, daycare centers, and recreational facilities and that. The issue came up because we knew there were some challenges to this, and I did do a little research. So there was a Vermont Supreme Court case called Hagen versus the City of Barrie. And the City of Barrie had a very similar ordinance to this. It was also in 2009, the same year we adopted ours. And basically the Supreme Court in Vermont said this ordinance is outside the authority of a municipality because it purports to be declaring something a public nuisance, which is not a public nuisance. So the Supreme Court struck down, from what I can tell, a pretty similar ordinance. And then back a little more recently, in December of 2017, Rutland City's ordinance, which had very similar language, the 1,000 feet restriction for residents from daycare centers and schools and so on, very similar. And that didn't go to the Supreme Court, but it did go to Superior Court here in Rutland, and Judge Hoare declared Rutland City's ordinance well, I don't know if it's unconstitutional, but it was exceeded the authority of the city. So my read is that the ordinance that we have, which is so close, I think, to both Rutland City and Barrie's, is that it would not be upheld if it were challenged. So I would move we repeal that Town of Rutland Child Safety Ordinance, which was put into effect in November of 2008 in our case.
I
So
have to
moved.
second it. I don't agree with it by any means. I think shame on them. I think our children are more valuable than putting somebody that's a sex offender next door or next door to a school. But if we can't do anything, and there's no sense having a law that we can't uphold. So
Okay. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to make a motion.
I was gonna bring that up, but I
Okay,
didn't.
so we'll treat Sharon as making the motion.
Yeah.
Is there a seconder?
Second.
JP?
Yeah, I did second it.
Okay, thank you. So motion's made and seconded to repeal the town's child safety ordinance. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, and so the ordinance is repealed. All right.
The process is starting.
Do we have,
Process is
do
starting
we have to do that by process too? don't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
So there'll be a few of them coming up in about 45 days.
all right. Next, under new business, I kind of skipped over something. And my apologies for that, but while you're here, we're just going through the packet, and then we'll get back to a couple of things. Not yet, and that's why I said I kind of skipped over. We do have a board to review for approval, the contract with Northstar Fireworks. Bill?
Yes, it's C in your packet and you have the original there. This is based upon our conversations with them, and it includes our primary date of July 3rd and our backup date of July 9th for the price they quoted us, ready to go.
Which is $10,000. Is there, and it looks like there's one signature line, so I'll entertain a motion to approve and authorize the chair to sign on behalf.
So moved.
Motion's made, seconded by JP. Discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Okay, then we have the social media policy, Town of Rutland.
Yes.
Okay, which
So that-
committee did that come from?
It started in police, continued through technology, and ended up here.
Okay. And is there a committee that's recommending it?
I think both of them did. I think building and technology was the last one. But it went out in the packet, so everybody had a chance to look it over and read it. This is 100% based on the VLCT model policy. It is I updated it so it was town specific with our contact information and filled in all the appropriate blanks and sections, and that's what we have.
Okay. Is there a motion with regard to our social media policy for the
I'll
town of
make a
Rutland?
motion. We
So
adopt the
moved.
policy.
Don made the motion, JP seconded. Discussion? No discussion. All in favor of adopting, and this sets the process in motion again.
Yes.
Adopting a social media policy as printed, please say aye.
I
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So this is a policy, not an ordinance. So this is just
We just do
we
it.
just do it. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to pass this around for everyone's signature while we're here. Oh, I think I passed around the wrong one here.
Yeah, use the original because it's
The
better.
original will
Yeah.
print better. Okay.
not this one.
Not that one.
I'll send it back to you.
Okay. The pages are loose though, so be
Yes.
careful. All right.
Okay. I think that's really all I have this time.
Okay. And that takes care of the draft social media policy. Let's go back to my apologies to JP. I skipped over town health officer. What do you have for us this evening, JP?
I have nothing for action. at our last meeting, we extended the mask mandate to the end of this month. I also think that the state will let sunset the law authorizing us to do that by the end of this month. So we'll know by our meeting on the 29th.
28th.
28. It's not leap year, sure. Thank you. Don?
Yeah, and before you leave, Bill.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you. Not only do you do your job, but you extend the meaning of your job to things that we have had to pay a lot of money for outside help, doing RFPs, drafting that social media policy, whether you copied it or added to it or whatever. It's still a lot of extra work. And I just want to say that we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yes, on top of the town
Very good.
report, on top of the budget. So thank you very much.
Yeah, but you people don't provide him with food. I provide him with
Okay,
food.
fine.
She feeds me.
Fine. Okay, so we'll watch for the sunset of the mask ordinance, see what the state does.
Yep.
And we've covered committee meeting updates. We did highway committee and building committee. We have the project list, which is there.
I think anything's changing.
I don't think anything is changing. Well, the railroad lawsuit can come off.
Oh, yes, it
Yeah.
can, can't it? Yeah.
Pocket Park is moving ahead. And all right, so that's one thing off the list.
Okay.
Okay, down under new business, we have 3 liquor license applications for approval. Our chief of police is here. The first one is for Jiffy Mart over here, and I believe it's the Jiffy Mart right next door. It is to sell. Chief, any problem with Jiffy Mart? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion's made, seconded.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. I think Joey and motion carries. I'm going to pass it along. Just be careful where you sign. Remember, if you sign in the wrong place, you're disapproving.
Sharon, did you give me these?
Oh, there's the one with
Mary
the,
did.
the
This one's for
brightly
signature.
colored
Yeah,
thing,
you
yes.
gave me your A and B
I'm
as
just
well.
trying to get rid of everything, Don.
I
and
don't
your
did
desk
that
looked
junk to
like
me.
a
I already
really
got
good
my
place
copy.
to put it. All right.
Okay, children.
All right. So next liquor license is for Johnny Boy's Pancake House. There's actually 2 for Johnny Boy's. Chief,
Motion to approve both.
let's just check with the chief first.
problem.
No problem. Motion to approve by Don,
Second.
seconded by Sharon. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of approving liquor licenses for Johnny Boy's, please say aye.
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 Excuse me.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. You've approved the liquor licenses. Excellent Mexican scramble there, by the way, for breakfast, if you ever want to know. I think this is,
Manufactured by Johnny himself.
yes, indeed.
Nice Italian boy.
Okay. Next, board to meet with Mary Beth Poley to discuss the Bellamont Trail System. Mary Beth, sorry to keep you waiting, but come on up.
Okay, Andy's gonna join me too, Andy.
Okay, good. Thank you, Andy.
No problem.
Hello, so I'm Mary Beth Foley. You know me from the Planning Commission, but I'm also involved with the Belamont Trail as a volunteer. And Andy.
Yep, Andy McMillan. I think Mike referenced me. Nice to see you all.
Yes, thank you.
Here to present with Mary Beth on the Bellamont Trail, which is a legacy project. A little bit about me. Moved to Rutland in 2009 and passionate about outdoor sports and outdoor recreation. So right up my alley and where I want to put some of my time.
and Andy and I became involved initially because we were helping Mike with improvements to Northwood Park, like mountain bike trails. And then we got talking to other groups in the area that were doing similar things and got excited about the Bellamont Trail. So the Bellamont Trail is a new, relatively new project. The vision is to have it go from the northern border of Vermont to the southern border, kind of like the long trail, only it would be a multiple use trail. So mountain bikes, skis, hiking, and would be year round. So right now we're helping with a group that's looking at taking the trail from Mendon through Rutland and beyond. And we're starting outreach to local boards to try to get general support. And then we're moving through specifics, working with larger groups from there. So the purpose of the Bellamont Trail is to link communities in Vermont and to link destinations for recreation. So focus on mountain biking. Northwood Park is going to be a destination. Pine Hill Park is already one. Right now, the trail is being constructed in Rochester and Pittsfield. So there are parts of it that are already constructed, and then some are shovel ready, being constructed in the next year or two. And ultimately, it's going to end up in the old Turnpike area of Mendon. There's a group in Mendon that's working on bringing it west, hopefully north of Route 4 to avoid crossing the highway. And we're looking at it from Rutland town through the city. Along with the trail itself, the Vermont Hut Association is involved with this project. And the huts are similar to long trail shelters, but larger, fit a lot more people. They're year round, heated. So there's a separate organization that's focused on building huts along the trail also. Let's see. So most sections throughout the state are conceptual, like our section, but the Bellamont Trail Association is working with groups that really want to host the trail in their town, that have recreational communities that could help support it, figure out where to put it, build it, and maintain it. And then Andy was going to talk a little bit about the some of the social and economic benefits.
Yeah. So I kind of see it as a pretty cool opportunity to be part of something that's like I said earlier, a legacy project, like the Long Trail. It kind of exemplifies Vermont. This is a long-term project, and this is kind of the ground floor for it. So some of the benefits, the social benefits and the economic benefits, there's been some economic impact analysis done for like the Long Trail, the Catamount Trail, the Vasa Trail entity, which I'm not super familiar with, and the Kingdom Trails. And they bring in about $30 million of economic activity annually, just those 4 trail groups. And there's also a more recent study that was done for the Bellamont Trail. And they say through that analysis that there's about $1 to $3 million of annual revenue that brings in to the state. And of course, certain areas like Stowe or Killington already have that kind of infrastructure. They're going to bring in more. So one of the key underpinnings of that report just showed that places where there's already some sort of outdoor economy are going to have a little bit more pull. And so that's where this little project at Northwood Park that you guys supported the last time I was here with you guys to develop some mountain bike trails there, linking up existing mountain bike trails is really the kind of the core of this whole thing. You know, going from point A to point B, those trails, and really getting them connected to the communities that they're adjacent to so that people don't have to drive, right? So we can leave our homes and hit the trail, ideally from city centers or small communities like Rochester and Pittsford. So with the surge in kind of mountain biking in the state of Vermont and the country, backcountry skiing, all these different outdoor activities, it's just a kind of a cool opportunity for us to say, well, it might come through Rutland town. It would be great if it could and did. And so how could we best kind of exemplify what we have to offer? linking it to Northwood Park and carrying it hopefully through to Rutland City, so that, we're hitting some of those other restaurants and businesses, because that's where the economic impact is focused on: lodging, restaurants, breweries, souvenirs, that kind of stuff. People aren't, only gonna live on their bikes and not go out in town. So that's one of the main points to drive home, is just that it does have some economic value, and that's one avenue that I like to think about. But also, selfishly, more trails to access kind of thins out the herd as things get a little bit busier, right? Pine Hill can get a little bit busy. So trying to disperse some of the use is also a really good benefit of having this connection, so you have longer tours or longer ride options.
Mhm. So the next steps were, as you mentioned, we're very early in the process. It's a multiple year, 5 to 10 year process before it's actually going to be built. And there's a lot of work to do in between. So we're reaching out to town boards. We talked to Rutland City last week. We've been updating the Rutland Town Planning Commission since we started working with this Bellamont Trail group. And recently we started a planning commission committee to look at, come up with ideas in the town. Dana's here. Dana is part of the committee. And Jerry Stearns and everyone in the planning commission is very interested and supportive. So we're focusing, so you're one of the partners, towns and cities, recreational companies like bike shops play a really big part in maintaining trails, and they're going to be another important partner. Trail organizations like the Pine Hill Partnership that helps manage Pine Hill Park. It's a nonprofit. Those are all who we're going to be working with to get this through Rutland. We're looking at, there are some municipal grants that might come up as soon as this June. I don't know if we're ready, but that's why we're trying to get the ball rolling and get a team together, so we'll be ready to take advantage of any opportunities that come up. We're looking for help identifying funding for planning, permitting, and constructing the trail. Of course, working with the Bellamont Trail Association statewide. From you specifically and from the town, we're interested in incorporating the town-owned properties like Northwood Park. Some of the projects up there, the shared use path would be an important piece of this. Pedestrian improvements, working with sidewalks, the crossing Route 7.
JP sidewalk up on the north end of town that we're doing.
Exactly.
Just finished the scoping study on. Okay.
Right. So one of the first areas we're looking at is getting it, to Northwood Park, and then ideally maybe using the sidewalk along Post Road, and then crossing Route 7 at that crossing and continuing down the sidewalk to get to Rutland City is kind of the short-term option. And then longer term, maybe working with private landowners and having a more remote trail. But as you know, we're a little more developed in Rutland Town, Rutland City, so we'll see how that works out. But we're interested in dovetailing with projects that we're already working on.
Well, Mary Beth,
Sure.
I love your enthusiasm. I mean, it's got to be boundless to take on a project like this, and you've indicated the time frame of 5 to 10 years. And, that's really something to be committed to it for that length of time. But I think one of the very first things that will help you, or one of the first problems that you will have to overcome, obviously, is acquiring the right-of-ways for the trail. So I was wondering, in the scheme of development, where does that come so that we and the residents and whatever can see where we envision the trail to get from behind the Forest and Parks building up in Mendon, which is on the north and west side.
Yeah.
And when it comes down, it's going to have to cross. I mean, obviously this trail is going to have to cross private lands as well as public lands.
Right.
And I think we need, and the residents need to know that so that we can, well, develop support, or if we find that there isn't support, find alternatives so that we can get the thing done.
Exactly.
When
And
does
then-
that, when does that happen?
Well, that's all being figured out. We're doing kind of initial outreach right now, just letting you know what the trail is in general. I'm not sure what the timeline is. I think we're going to meet back up with a larger group that involves people from Mendon, Killington, Rutland, and the whole network.
You're right, though. The crux is going to be the private landowners. And we just faced an issue, well, a crux, if you will, with the Rutland City water supply property. That's kind of the pinch point, really, because the Green Mountain National Forest land north of Route 4 is a very viable tract of land. It's huge, it's continuous. That's ideal. That's where the Ridgeline folks and the Bellamont entity that was formerly Rasta was really successful in partnering with the Green Mountain National Forest for their segments up north in, Rochester and Pittsfield. And there is a conceptual map, right? It's just conceptual. No agreements have been made, but there is a line drawn at a certain elevation coming all the way from basically kind of Gifford Woods State Park over the Blue Mountain kind of southern flanks. And then it kind of deposits down to Old Turnpike Road. And there is a lot of double tracks. So old woods roads is going to be a big part of the trail, just inevitably because of the opportunities that they provide throughout the state. But yeah, the siting is the careful piece, that having that collective buy-in and kind of a collaborative approach is pretty much the only way we'll make it work.
So there isn't a definite negative on using the Rutland City Forest land.
We were told we couldn't, but we're still pursuing that. So, because that is a huge opportunity to leverage that kind of public space, protecting, the water resources there, but making it more accessible for the public and recreational tourism. So that's
a couple of suggestions. One is, or a question and a suggestion. Paul Gallo's been working on the city bike route, and I'm suspecting you folks have linked in with the plans there, including the loop over to what used to be the College of St. Joseph's. And then from there, we did a study with the town of West Rutland on the corridor. So, and I know there was some great findings that came out of there. So I'd recommend those two. And personally, I've got that farm south of, down on Creek Road, Rutland Town. And come talk to me if there's any way that we're kind of a little out of the way, but maybe not from what you're thinking.
Oh, sorry. You're getting me excited with your Mary Beth shared the Center Rutland bike trail, and it was just a really cool project. And I read the whole analysis that you guys paid for and did that study. And I think that's kind of like one of the coolest things we could do. If we could link up a mountain bike trail and have kind of that historic emphasis on what Rutland really was, in its boom, highlighting kind of that whole Marble Valley area with that more kind of maybe paved, but more developed trail, if you will.
Right.
So that's a neat concept. So thank you.
And Barbara she's had her hand up. She's had her
sorry,
digital
Rebecca.
hand, and now she's got her other hand too. So
Did I hear something about a pocket park there connection? Or not?
Yes, one of the destinations for sure.
But I did want to clarify, this is not an official town planning commission project, unless you want us to take this on. This was to be with just volunteers from the planning commission, helping many of these other volunteers. So unless you want us, you want something otherwise, we've got quite a bit on our plate as it is.
Right.
JP moving furniture.
Any other questions from other select board members? So is there anything you need from us tonight, or this is just to let us know what's up and we'll hear from you in the future?
Oh, just informational. We do have some materials that we have not sent yet. So we'll be sending those to Bill.
Yes, please.
Just a little more information, conceptual map, some of the economic highlights.
Good. Well, the long trail
Very-
started, had to start somewhere, so.
Very ambitious plan,
It
and
is.
we
Yes.
in the town are fortunate to have two people that are as committed to it as you are. So
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
that's a feather in our cap.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you,
for your
folks.
time.
Stay in touch. And yes, we'll
Sure.
look for your materials. Appreciate it. Okay. Oh, all right. This will be fun. New business F, board to discuss what to do with old student desks from when the town hall was a school. I am informed that there are 12 chairs and desks, I would guess.
It's one.
Oh, the unit thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sarah Tesla actually just emailed me a little while ago. She wants pictures of them. They may be interested in some of them,
Good. Okay.
but
Good.
probably not all 12.
Thank you, Mary
Any,
Beth.
my suggestion was we kind of get the word out to the school and maybe make sure we hang on to one or two sets here. So
I
that,
may have mentioned it to the school board chair when I saw her earlier.
ah,
today.
indeed, indeed.
You have a plan, Bill?
Give them a good home. Like they are literally piled around our heating oil tanks downstairs.
Hmm.
That's not a good long-term solution for them. So if someone would enjoy them, it would be wonderful.
Well, let's start with public entities.
Let's
Yes.
start with public entities who would maybe be willing to make a small contribution
Yes,
Yeah,
to the effort.
I like
and-
that.
And then
I like that.
enjoy an old desk.
yes. I
Their
think that's,
contribution is taking them and moving them somewhere else, and that's good for me.
well, let's reach out. So we do have 12 old school desks and chairs. If you are a public institution and you're interested, come talk with Bill.
Maybe, Bill, they could make a contribution to your candy fund.
Well,
Mike wrote a pretty good job, I think, keeping that slide. So
okay, item G under new business, we've already discussed, and that was the reapportionment discussion from the BCA meeting. We're down to executive sessions. We have had a request for one. And is there any other new business that needs
Yes,
to come before us?
Mary, I have it's the, since when we come out of executive session, everybody's going to want to go home. So I thought we should discuss our next meeting on the 28th of February and how you want us to do what for the pre-town meeting that will follow our 5 o'clock board meeting. Assignments
thank
for.
you.
Yep.
Well, we all, thank you, by the way, to the select board, because we all divvied up our assignments for the various ballot items. And I would suggest that whoever had which ballot item reports it to the Monday night meeting for the town. And then the same order that we used for, the general budget, the highway budget, whoever was assigned to do that for the pre-town meeting should do it for the town meeting, since we're kind of used to it now. Is there any disagreement with that or confusion about who should do what?
Sounds pretty logical.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. And just to be clear, JP took it last time from me, but I would like to report on the cash to open transfer over to pay the bond. I know he got pretty excited and he was reporting on quite a few things there, so. Okay. And a reminder that our next select board meeting is on that Monday night, which is the 28th. It will be at 5 o'clock.
yes.
And it will be, well, remote, I think, yeah, because the school, we can't use the school. So it'll be remote. And then we'll go into our town meeting after that at 7, and I think we go first. So, Kari.
I'll put out a reminder, but definitely that Friday before the 28th will be the complete deadline for AP and payroll. So,
Okay,
all department heads must have things in by that Friday.
okay, good reminder. Thank you very much. Anybody have anything else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session
Can we
Sorry.
take item A off from old business and just dump it someplace? Do we have to have that on there every meeting?
You guys.
Huh?
I don't know.
Can we, Mary?
Sure. I mean,
I mean-
succession planning is kind of up there.
Yeah.
Storage of department records as Bill or Kari find a need to discuss it. So I have no problem taking that off.
Take it off.
Okay.
So who made the motion to go
We
in?
haven't yet. Who, and I think it's a personnel matter?
Personnel committee?
No. Oh, well, is there a motion to go into executive
I
session
so
for
moved.
a personnel matter?
Yes. I
Motion's
so-
made.
Second.
Okay. And who should be present during it?
Kari.
Kari? Okay. All right. All in favor of an executive session for a personnel matter, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. We're in executive session. Executive session at 8:15.
Did you
Is
take an
there any
inventory of all the
motion?
stuff that the tree warden stuffed in his pocket?
Yeah.
Motion to
Motion to adjourn.
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 Motion to
Second.
adjourn is made and seconded. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, folks. Have a good evening.
Good night.